Okay, my name is Tim Barr. I'm the tournament director for the U.S. Women's National Championship this year, the USWDGC, being held in Johnson City, Tennessee. We are very excited about this event, and we're going to do a little hand cam filming of a couple of my favorite ladies playing Harmon Hills. We are here at Harmon Hills. This is hole 18, and the course is in good shape, but by the time the tournament rolls around, this course will look amazing. So we hope that this will help you ladies as far as just giving you a little bit of insight as to what the holes look like, what kind of shots you need to throw as far as disc selection and stuff like that. We're going to have a ball out here today. We're playing with my wife, Donna Barr, who plays for Team Latitude, and we're also playing with Jennifer McGibbon, who plays for Team Prodigy. And they're great friends, and we're just going to have a good time today. And for those of you watching this film in the future, after the tournament's over, it's still a lot of good information about the course, about each hole. So we hope you enjoy it. We want to thank Josh Baysinger from Baysinger's Disc Golf channel. Look him up on YouTube, subscribe, and keep up with his videos. He does a great job filming, and he's really a great benefit to the Eastern Tennessee area as far as showcasing our courses, showcasing our players. And we really appreciate Josh coming out tonight and helping us out with this. Look for this video on the official website, USWDGC.net. Under the courses tab. It will be posted hopefully within the next week or so, which today is July 25th. So we hope to have this up by the 1st of August, when we'll also be releasing the official tournament schedule and format. So hope you enjoy it. We're going to have a great time here tonight, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, these are our two players tonight, my lovely wife Donna and our best friend Jen. Donna Barr and Jen McGibbon. Donna plays for Latitude, Jen plays for Prodigy. And they're going to be our test monkeys tonight. We're going to throw some shots out here and give you guys a better idea of what Harmon Hills is all about. So we'll let them take it from here.
Woohoo!
Great shot. Hole 1 here at Harmon, the biggest key is hitting the gap. The hole plays roughly 380, and for most women, the first object is to make the gap.
Oh, made it.
Oh, and yeah, came out on the front side. All right. And we're off. Great shot.
Thank you.
As you can see, the basket area is a fairly little protected alcove, lots of rocks, a couple of cedar trees that will knock your shots down. When you're approaching this hole, it's nice to be just a little safe. If you go after the basket and you miss, you will get back inside the trees behind the basket, which that circle will be cleaned out to around 30 foot for tournament time. That'll work. The closer we get, you can see that the trees behind the basket will come into play, and of course the rocks in front of the basket will come into play. So your approach on this shot, this hole, has to be fairly controlled. Very nice. Very nice. Both our ladies got pars on hole 1, par 3s, and 2s are very difficult on hole 1. You really have to throw a great shot. 3s are what you want. Stay away from the 4s if possible, but it is, if you don't make the gap off the tee, it is very easy to get a 4 on hole 1. Hole 2 is a par 4. The distance on it is in between 500 and 600 feet. We don't have signage at the moment, but basically it's you want to get your shot out into the open past the little driveway, and then it'll approach from, we'll have a downhill approach into the basket with a tree line behind the basket. Good shot. She'll have a little over the hill approach there. She won't be able to see the basket from that position. Another 30, 40 foot up and you'll be able to see the top of the basket. Good shot. Jen showing off her arm. From there she will be able to see the top of the basket. So we'll make that approach a little better. Donna's approach didn't afford to look at the basket, so we moved up a little bit to give you a look at what the basket looks like. The tree line behind the basket comes into play at about 25 foot. Shots that go back inside the tree line get more difficult. There's a small sinkhole behind the basket, so as a general rule you want to keep your approaches in the grass and not in the woods behind it. Good approach. Nice shot. Donna's approach was a little low, which left her a little further away from the basket than she would have wanted to be, but it should still be an easy par 4. This hole is a par 4. Jen looks like she's got about a 25 foot, 22 foot putt for birdie. Good putt. Nice par. This is hole 3. Hole 3's got some really unique topography. You have the initial early alley here where you throw over top of the site of the course owners, Aaron and Meredith Prosak's wedding, which was a very beautiful affair. And you want to, if you can, clear the first hump, get down into the lower section, second section. Then there's a second hump you need to clear to get to the basket, which sits perched on a nice downslope. This hole is another par 4. The tee sign says 505, and that's pretty close to correct. 3 is an excellent score on this hole. Only the top men pros that I know can get all the way to the basket in one shot. I think most of the ladies will be just trying to get a 3 or a 4, and those are both really good scores. That's exactly what you want. A nice shot that hits that first initial alley, gets down into that second area. That allows you for a lot simpler approaches. Another fabulous shot.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice throws, ladies.
That's my friend.
So we're standing in the second alley here on hole 3, and Josh is going to zoom into the basket real quick just so you can kind of see where it's at. And Jen, her drive ended up at the base of a tree, which is going to cause her to probably have to throw a sidearm. Although she's liking that look, I don't know. Biggest key to this hole is attitude control of your disc when it hits the ground around the basket. If you can match the angle of the hillside, the odds of you rolling away get slimmer. This hole does mess with players, especially when they're putting. That's a great shot right at the base of the hill. She'll have an uphill putt for a 3. Donna's drive left her in the bottom of the valley. I don't think she can see the basket from where she's at, but I would expect she's going to throw a turnover that she'll want to flex out late. She nailed the turnover part. She's got an uphill putt for a 3 also. Donna's putt, her up shot went just a little long. So she's got about a 33 footer back to the basket. Like I said, it's perched on the hill. Oh, chained out, but it stayed on the hillside. She'll have a tap in 4. Jen's having a steep approach from the opposite direction, about 22 feet. Oh, and she got cheese. Sit down.
Man.
Robbery, but it left her close. She should still get the easy 4. But from this perspective, you can see just how steep the basket sits on the hillside here. And if Josh pans back through the hole backwards, you can get a little bit better view of what you have to deal with on your second and third shots. Hole 4 is the biggest key to hole 4 off the tee is obviously making the gap. If you can land at the top of the hill, it makes your approach to the basket quite a bit easier. Shots that land on the upslope tend to have more difficulty as far as reaching the basket in 2. The basket sits up in the tree line to the left, which this hole plays like a really long right-handed backhand hyzer. 3s are amazing, 4s are great. Try to stay away from the 5s. Little cabbage slowed her down a little bit, but it's still a good shot.
That'll work.
There is OB all the way down the left side of this hole. The complete length of the hole. It's property line fence. The OB will be marked with string for the women's tournament. And it really shouldn't come into play until you get up closer to the basket. Good shot.
Yeah, Donna. Come back.
It's top
Yes,
of the hill.
ma'am.
Good shot. This is the approach. Nice little alley up into the trees. From the left of the basket, the OB line is roughly 40 or so feet. Your shots here, you want to keep from going left. The woods on the left are no place to be. Great shot. Oh, come on. Nice.
Thank goodness.
Donna's drive had plenty of length, but she left it out to the right, which really closed off the alley for her. If you wanted to get it all the way to the basket, I think the toughest shot would be going the turnover route because of the OB. She's going to shoot straight through on the left gap and just try to miss trees and get up there for a putt. She got a kick over to the left, which should open her up for a long look. Nice approach. Should be an easy par.
Yes.
Good putt. Nice birdie.
Thank you.
Jen sloughing off the fact that her approach landed up beside the basket and then rolled back down the hill. Makes the birdie putt anyway. Nice par from Donna. Hole 5 is one of the few holes on the front nine that you can reach in one shot. Hole 1 is reachable in one shot, but you really have to throw a great drive well over 330 feet. Hole 5 measures out at 265. Sidearmers will love this hole. A nice straight sidearm flick down the middle that hyzers out late to the right will put you around the basket for a putt. Backhanded shots can be more difficult, but there are still many ways to get a deuce on this hole. Very nice shot, dead straight. She'll have about a 35-foot putt straight at the basket. The straight shot here is not a bad shot at all. It still gives you a putt. It's when players get greedy and try to make the turn to get to the basket that usually causes problems. Just caught the limb. That left her right on the edge of a sinkhole. The sinkhole has been cleaned out. There are plenty of shots out of it. Her drive landed right at the edge of it. Could have rolled back down. We'll find out. Donna's shot put her down in just on the edge of the sinkhole. She has a fairly tough little approach from about 110 feet. Ooh, my.
Beautiful.
Rode it right past the basket. Just barely missed to the left. Good shot.
Thank you.
Oh, great putt. As you can see, Jen's putt off the tee, or drive off the tee was fairly straight, but you can see how close it got her to the basket, which tells you that you don't necessarily have to throw a turnover shot to get a birdie putt on hole 5. A nice controlled straight shot that makes the initial alley will get you a look. Just missed the putt for par. The sinkhole is a tough up and down depending on where you land. So that should be one of your first objectives, avoid the sinkhole. Hole 6's tee is on top of a hill and you're shooting out of a gap into this open field. The drive needs to be flat for the most part with some hyzer late to put you in position to throw the second shot uphill through another gap. Placement off the tee is critical, and that is well placed because it allows her to throw her next shot through the gap with nothing in the way. There are a couple of small sinkholes down here where the yellow sign is. Those will be hazards. They will not be out of bounds. If you land in them, you can play in there if you like, or you can take relief. I was really getting some straightness out of that hatchet. That put her back behind some trees, which will make her approach a lot more difficult. This hole has 2 basket positions. It's currently in its long position, but we will show you where the basket is in its short position. And from the short position, it plays as a gold level par 4. From the back pin position, it plays as a gold level par 5. This is a very difficult hole. This hole also has a mando at the top of the hill that you'll notice when you're on the tee. That keeps you from throwing through the pavilion area and backwards through hole 7's fairway as a shortcut to get to the basket. The mando is really not in play as far as possibility of missing it. It's set far enough over it, just like I said, keeps players from taking shortcuts. As I went over before, these two holes here will be hazards, but they will not be out of bounds. So if you land in them, you have the option to play from them or to take relief, no closer to the hole. Today the basket is in the long position, so we're going to play it to the long position, but we will point out to you where the short position is. Donna's shot went straight a little too long. Put her back here behind one of the bigger sinkholes. From here she's trying to get it into the sunshine up there on the hillside. Oh, look at that, right on the edge of the sunshine. That is a great shot. Jen has thrown a well-positioned drive off the tee. If the basket were in the short position, you would be able to see it shining brightly at the top of the hill in the dead center of the alley. Kept it a little low, but she's still in good shape. We're going to play to the long position, which is inside the tree line that you can see at the top of the hill, and then about 150-foot turnover once you get inside the trees. The approach from this hole is dictated by the gap in the trees at the top of the hill. You can see from that gap it's about 140 foot back to the basket, a slow turnover alley. Approaches from this area need to stay right of center because there's a little dogwood tree on the left up there that really gets in the way if you throw your shot up the hill and it hyzers out. That's okay. She just wanted to see how good she could do behind the dogwood tree. Jen's second shot got her a little closer to the gap. She does have the ability to make the gap and get some distance into the woods. Once entering the gap, both sides are rough, but I think the left side provides harder approaches than the right side does.
We'll find out.
That is correct. Snuck it in there. This position's only been open for about 2 or 3 months. It was a longer position on hole 6 that the course's founder and first owner Jerry Harmon wanted to do but never had the chance. So in the last few months, Aaron and Meredith and Kyle, who own the place and live here, decided to put it in. And it's turned out to be a good hole. It turns what's normally a par 4 into a difficult par 5. The tripod stool is sitting where the normal basket position is on hole 6. And if you look down the alley up against the trees to your right, you can see the cage of the basket shining in the sun, roughly 140, 150 foot from the short. Donna is pimped in behind the dogwood tree, and has to find a way to try to minimize the damage. Nice little sidearm down into the trees. It should be a fairly easy approach from there. Jen's third shot left her in the right edge rough. Looks like she's got a fairly open sidearm. Jump it out to the left a little bit. She still have a putt from there. You may notice the basket sits on a little bit of an incline, sloping from left to right down the hill. So when you approach this basket, attitude control on your putter or your approach disc is also key. Great shot. Donna throwing her overmold goby really well on that approach. She'll give herself a putt for a 6, I believe.
It's a good layup.
Little cabbage coming out, but she has the easy tap in. Will that be for a 6 also?
That'll be for a 6.
Hole 6 in the long position is no joke. From the positioning shot off the tee to the second shot up through the gap and up the hill as far as possible, to a third shot or even a fourth shot that hits the gap coming down into the woods. Every shot demands a well-placed disc. Nice putt. So both our ladies take 6s. And we're moving on to hole 7. Hole 7's a demanding drive off the tee. Obviously you have to get out of the chute, but then you want to make your disc go to the right to avoid the tree line in the distance. Shots that end up in that tree line will have no way of getting up and down to the basket. So the smart shot here is a nice controlled turnover that can get you, 300 to 300 foot, and that will allow you to have a reasonable approach to the basket. A little tight on the right side, but that's still a good shot. It faded out a little bit late, headed towards the tree line, but I think she stayed out in the grass. Many times during tournaments, this hole will have a headwind blowing on it, which makes turning the disc over a little easier, but also makes controlling that turn a little more difficult. Today, it's nice and calm. That's a good shot.
Yeah, D.
Right out in the middle, safely away from the tree line. 2 good drives. Donna's drive was solid, giving her a nice approach to the basket. Shots that approach this basket do need to be careful though. Behind the basket, the hillside drops off fairly steep, so you want to avoid going long. Oh, great kick, put her right under the basket. Nice shot, left it a little short, but she's still got a putt for the 3. Oh, just missed the 3. Donna taking advantage of the bank shot off the approach to get the easy 3. As you can see, behind the basket, the hill continues to drop off, and at the bottom of that hill is a cave that houses an underground lake. And we don't know how big that underground lake is. The cave's ceiling drops after about 40 or 50 foot of penetration back into the cave, and you can't see where it goes. But we have been told that it's a substantial underground lake, and it actually, back in the, I believe it was in the 60s, they were talking about putting a landfill in the general vicinity here, and the discovery of the underground lake put the kibosh on that, which was a good thing for us. Hole 8 is a shortish par 4, but its difficulty factor is about an 8.5 to a 9. Your initial shot off the tee needs to be fairly straight with a slow left to right turn. If you can see the arrow pointing sign at the bottom of the hill, if you can throw to the base of that sign, makes for an easy approach to the basket. This hole also has a mando, if you can see it on the far right, just to keep people from shortcutting over top of the mouth of the cave. For the women's event, there will be a fence lining the top of the hill here that covers the mouth of the cave, so that shots that go down there will be in a hazard, and we'll have a drop zone in place for that. Basically what you want to do is just throw a nice straight approach down this hill, land in that nice little grassy area at the bottom of the hill. That, as they say, is all day with a biscuit.
Yes, ma'am.
Folks, you can play a lot of rounds of golf at this course and not see two better drives in a row.
Thanks for showing me the way.
Both ladies threw sparkling drives. They both have fairly simple approaches. That hyzer's there. They're both getting worked a little by that tree right there. That is causing a little bit of a problem, but they both still have clean flight paths to the baskets. Oh.
Better position.
The tree was definitely messing with the stance. And I did say off the tee that those were two really good drives, and they were, because most of the time drives coming down that hole will hit something, and you'll not even have an opportunity to get to the basket in two shots. But they both actually slid them maybe 10 foot too far, and right up against the base of a tree, which is causing them a little difficulty. Three on this hole is a solid score for any skill level. Twos are rare. I honestly don't know of very many people who have twoed this hole.
Toss it in, DB.
It usually takes a toss in to get a two, that's correct. Really messed with them. That stance really hurt both of their efforts there. Nice approach. A little cheese on the ground, but still a good approach. Donna's approach caught a little ground clutter, which kicked her over to the left, but I think she still has a look at a short toss in for a three. Still a good shot and an easy four. Great putt. Nice four. As I said before, threes on this hole are difficult. You have to throw a really well-positioned drive and then take advantage of the fairly open second shot if you land in the grass at the foot of the hill. They both got par fours though. Hole number 9 is a long uphill par 4. You can see the top of the hill, the post with the bucket on top of it. That's out the back of the fairway. From that point, the hole cuts 90 degree to the left, and your approach is about 220 foot from that point. Players on this hole just need to keep it in the center. Reaching the top of the hill is very difficult. You have to throw the equivalent of a 400-foot drive to be able to get to the top of the hill. Most players, if they can get it just past the shade of the trees there in the center, will have, you know, a 250, 275-foot hyzer approach over the top of the hill to the basket, which sits under some trees that you will get to see shortly. That is a great shot. Well placed out in the middle. Another great shot. Those are two well-placed shots. No worries there. Nice approach by Donna. Leaves her about a 60-foot uphill putt for a 3. 3 on this hole is a very good score, as it is a par 4. And it's, for the most part, uphill the whole way. And taking advantage of the extra distance off the tee, leaves herself with about a 25-foot putt for a 3. Well played up to this point. Great attempt at the 3. As you can see, the basket sits between these two trees on a downslope, so approaches into this basket need to be paid attention to. Oh, just missed the 3. Still, well played drop in 4s for both ladies. So that was the front 9. Both ladies played really well. Josh will put their scores up in a video or in a on-screen thing so you can see what they shot. They both played great. Neither one of them had a bad hole. Didn't birdie everything, didn't bogey everything, had a lot of pars. Played some solid golf. You'll see these here and there on the course. Meredith, Aaron Prozac's wife, likes to put them out in little places where they can be seen. Sometimes she hides them, sometimes she puts them in plain sight. But I hope you enjoyed the front 9. Now we're going to go play the back 9.